You, what going on? Welcome to another broadcast episode of A Different Day with Jah and Neci. You may not have noticed, but Neci isn't here. Why? Because she stood me up to go to the fair. But that's all good. I got my other co-host in here, another Same Difference member by the name of Miss Tiny. Tanisia's here in the building because she came through last minute. Hey, what's up?
Literally 3 minutes in. Good afternoon, everyone. How are y'all doing?
You see, it be your own people though, but it's fine.
It
So
do.
anyway, we're
Um,
here with another live broadcast of A Different Day, and you're tuned in to the number one station in the U.S. Virgin Islands, 101.3 Row FM. You can listen to us obviously through your radio dial on 101.3 Row FM, or you could stream the live stream at what we affectionately call Row FM Plus, which is the Row FM live stream through their Facebook or through Same Differences live stream on Facebook and YouTube. You can also listen in through the TuneIn app, 101.3 Row FM WVI. All right, so let's get started. We got some national news, we got some trending topics, and we got some local news as well. So we're gonna start with what's going on home. It's been a Valentine's weekend to remember for sure. There were tons of parties and fair is going on right now. Buju was in town, as most people know. Buju was on his long walk to freedom tour, where he did two shows with Taurus Riley on St. Thomas and St. Croix. And we've been getting some rave reviews. We've been getting some complaints because, who will we be if we didn't complain? You know how the Virgin Islands is. But what have you been hearing?
so for me, the only complaint that I have legitimately seen that has been a true complaint is the VIP line. That's it. Everybody else has raved about the show. They enjoyed it. It was an amazing vibe. They were just so happy to be able to have that experience. But it was just, I guess, the logistics of getting everyone in was an issue.
Got you. Let me see if I could turn up your mic. I don't know if it's up loud enough, but we're gonna go from there. All right. So I got some comments on the Same Difference Facebook page because I did ask how it went, and one person said wasn't there. I wish I was though. I had a great time, most fun I've had in a while. Enjoyed myself to the max. I had a great time. Only had I gone home with Buju could it have been better.
I
Sick in my
agree.
head,
Miss.
says
I
Saida.
agree, Saida. I
You
agree.
agree. Hey, my God. Mm. The groupies were out apparently. The concert itself was great. Service staff was attentive and helpful. They had a lot of logistical issues, though, which did irritate VIP guests. Again, the VIP guest issue. Buju owes me not a blasted thing. I had a blast. Performers were great. There was people, but it wasn't over full. Definitely worth the dollars paid. Another commenter says, from my bed, as always, Buju performance was awesome. The show was great. Singing, who is Taurus Riley, always gives a great performance. The girls them sugar popping up was extra special. Does he live here now? I swear he was in Plaza a week or two ago. Buju was epic. I thought he would have performed longer, but it was short and sweet. Rasbach and all the local acts were excellent. I always love hearing Jaman. A shout out to our local acts. I don't think y'all get the kudos and the flowers that you deserve. So shout out to our local artists. I wish they would expose you guys and put you out there more. But shout out to you. Thank you for being there and thank you for performing because the Virgin Islands is one of the hardest crowds, so I hear.
Yes.
And it's also AgriFest 2025. It's also AgriFest going on right now. Today's schedule, let me see if I can see it. You can still make it. They still have some other acts from 3 to 4. They are cultural dancers, and from 4 to 5:30, they have Gus Bus the band. And then tomorrow, they got a whole lineup starting at 9 a.m. Starting with DJ Pete. And there's quite a few acts. Y'all need to go through to the Ag Fair if you haven't been there already. Go ahead and tune in. Stay tuned in. We're going to take a short break after these messages. We'll be right back. We still have more topics more local and national news. And we also have a special guest coming in about the 4:30 hour. So keep it locked right here to your number one station in the U.S. Virgin Islands, 101.3 Raw FM, and a different day with Jah and Neci. We'll be right back.
Tune into the Push Team. 101.3 Raw FM. On Saturday, March 15th, YOLO Promotions present VOP.
All right. All right. So if you're in the chat, please go ahead and share the live, because we want more people to join the conversation and tune in to us. Now, do you ever feel some type of way when you miss the fair?
I do. I really do. Like, I didn't even realize that fair was this weekend because as you know, my mom just went home on Wednesday. I promise you I would have went home with her and I would have went to the fair. I'd have been it would have been a prelude of I don't feel good at definitely. For sure.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
I apologize, but if I had realized that it was this weekend, I promise you, my supervisor would have already been like, "Oh my God, Tiny, are you okay? Is everything okay? I don't feel so well." I promise.
Not the white people voice.
I promise.
Not the white people voice.
I sure promise.
That's what's up. Hey, I actually, since the Pate Festival started, I haven't missed one Pate Festival, so I'm trying to keep that going. I don't know how long I could keep that going, but I do love the Pate Festival. I have missed quite a few ag fairs, but I kind of want to make it up, but it's like, how? You know what I'm saying?
When is the Pate Festival again this year?
The Pate Festival, if I'm not mistaken, is in June, and I still wondering, are they doing Tart Wars again? I haven't heard anything or seen anything, but I'd like to make my first, appearance at the Tart Wars. That would be dope.
Okay. Sounds like June and July are that's gonna be happening.
I sick out days. I sick out time.
Yeah. Mental health days, my chest hurting days. Oh my gosh, there's so much people in here that's sick kind of days. Yeah. Yep. Hey, I work in corporate America. I mean, there's always, if there's a will, there is a way. Yep.
Well, they can't block the call out. That's the thing.
No, they cannot, especially when it's very, very well documented.
Hey, shout out to those that got FMLA, and shout out to those that got like stuff on the books. Like I gotta use the bathroom every 30 minutes and stuff like that. As you get over. Because corporate America does not love you. That's one thing I could say. Corporate America does not love us.
They do not. And thank you, FMLA, for the intermittent FMLA. Yep. It's a blessing and a disguise sometimes, but it works out in your benefit, especially when you really, really need that break and have things going on. That comes in very clear for you. So yeah.
Dang, you heard it here first. Now, what about the Buju and Singy thing? How do you feel that you missed that? I feel like this was like a once in a lifetime thing because the man coming out of jail, you know what I mean? He's been gone for a while. What do you think about that? You feel some type of way that you missed it?
So I am upset that I missed Buju, but I've seen Taras in concert on multiple occasions. So on that end, I'm okay. I've seen his performance and he performs amazingly every single time he hits a stage. But Buju, I just need him to come back. Maybe do another one in Atlanta, maybe once or twice, so I could catch that one. Okay. I'll even drive to Florida. I'll fly to New York. Whatever.
Damn.
I promise, because I missed the other ones because other things was going on and health-wise stuff and stuff like that. But yes, come again, come this way as a personal request. Come sir.
Yo, what going on, Raven? The Apostle Scott in the building. What going on? Hey, we still can't call you that though.
Hey, Raven.
Thanks for coming through. Make sure you share the live, please. What else we got on the agenda to talk about? Let me see. So I really want to talk about this. The Good Hope School, right, is up for sale. Yes. It's up for sale. The former Good Hope School is up for sale. and I think it's going for the low price of $1.8 million. And somebody who will reinvest into the Virgin Islands, into St. Croix, needs to get it, because I could think of at least 3 things we could be doing with that thing. And
That would
you're saying,
literally. No, I said that would be an amazing boutique hotel.
man, another hotel though?
No, yeah. Okay, so hear me out. A boutique hotel offers many different things, right? It offers you, long stay, short-term stay. It also gives the opportunity for the locals to showcase their talents. You could have cooking classes, you could have little mokojumbi classes, all kind of different things you could do at a boutique hotel that you cannot do at a regular hotel.
A boutique hotel. I'm gonna have to look that up because I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah. Me and a couple family members actually have been looking into it and looking at zoning and the things that needed to be done and permits and all of these different things. The only catch-22 that we have realized is that, unfortunately, if you have a last name that is local, they're not entertaining you. They're not.
If you have a last name that
Correct.
is local,
If you are a local, they are not entertaining you.
I would think that's what they would want. They would want locals to purchase this thing, though.
They do not. They don't.
Man.
They want for someone from stateside to come in and purchase it and do whatever it is that they want. Because keep in mind, that's beachfront access as well. There's a lot of things that, they don't want for us to have access to or have for us to have in control of. And that property has been for sale for give or take for the past 5 to 6 years. And nobody could get it.
So what needs to happen then, if they are in fact stopping people from buying it because you have a local last name, then it sounds like a bunch of locals need to get together and go ahead and pool the money into a LLC or a business of some kind to go ahead and buy it.
That's the ultimate goal.
Let me pull up this thing, because that's bananas. Let me pull up this thing. It has, of course, sandy beachfront property in Frederickstead, a whopping 13 buildings comprise the school grounds. So you got room to train in the arts, in trades, in crafts, in, you know what I'm saying? You got summer school, you could have homeless shelter, you could have a mental health facility that is needed. You know what I mean? Look, one single family home. Wait a minute.
Yes, because the groundskeeper used to live on the property. The maintenance person used to live on the property for the school. And the principal used to live on property. Sorry.
That's crazy. So in addition to 13 buildings, it also has a single family home. Of course, it has a pool. What? Them Good Hope children used to be living good, man. Yes. You know they had to say that. It has a large theater, a gymnasium complex, additional small structures. It sits on 29.33 acres of land. My God. Almost 30 acres of land just sitting around, and it's rotting away by the seawater. So you know it gets saltwater damage.
In all honesty, what I thought would have made sense was for the government to purchase it and turn that into a trade school or a vocational school or something to that effect. Or even as much as people hate charter schools, turn it into a charter school to give students an opportunity to have more of a vast learning aspect. That's what I thought that it would have made sense for the government to have done. That was my thought process. But sometimes our thinking process don't be the same as the government. But that would have been an ideal thing for them to do, because they've already set up as a classroom structure. There's already a gym, theater, everything that you will need for a fully functioning school is already all there for you.
All right, we're coming back. All right, we're coming back. We're going to bring up this topic just now. Welcome back to another live broadcast of A Different Day with Jah and Neci. We got Tiny, another member of the Same Difference podcast. Miss Tiny is filling in for Neci while Neci goes out gallivanting in the people them streets and left me hanging. So thank you. If you're listening, if you could hear this, hey, tell Neci, if you see she out there at the Ag Fair, tell she Jah vex. All right? Because you left hanging to do the show. But it's fine. And what we were talking about, we were discussing the sale of the Good Hope School. So the Good Hope School is currently, it is abandoned, right? Sandy beachfront property, smack dab on a beach in Frederiksted. It has 13 buildings that comprise the school grounds, one single family home, a pool, a large theater, gymnasium complex, additional small structures. They still have more. And it's sitting on a whopping 29.33 acres. Property facts. Beautiful, mature mahogany trees dot the grounds of this lovely property, originally built as a hotel in 1958, then further developed in 1972 into a sprawling and thriving school until its closure in 2013. Now, I do wonder why it closed, because I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know why it actually closed. You have any background in that?
If I'm not mistaken, the student population decreased and they were combining, I think it was Good Hope and Country Day and another private school. They started combining them together because the student population was and people there weren't paying tuition like that.
Dang. Well, that's sad to hear. All right. Well, if you're in the market for a school or you have actual plans to do right by the people of the Virgin Islands, here's a great investment. Again, it's going for the low price of $1.8 million. So I really want locals to go ahead and tap in and buy that because there's so much that could be done. All right. In trending news, this man right here.
Listen, my son, that man there.
You cannot see what we're looking at right now, but there's currently a young man who is, let's call him Jailbait. He's clearly from Rock. You can tell by the Gucci link chain, and very handsome young man. He's going viral and got the girlies in a tizzy. Talk to me, Tiny Kai. I know you seen it, and I know you heard the chatter. What going on?
Let me tell you, I saw his picture. I saw, oh wow, what do he need? Because and I see the Gucci link. I said that's a VI man on top of that. Okay. What this man need to get out? What he need? What he need?
You love that. That's okay. Then.
Listen, that man, he got pretty eyes too. Jesus Christ. See, but then I sat there and I said, he really did do the time. He did the crime, so he gonna gotta do his time and everything. Cause I got minor children and we don't condone them kind of craziness. I come from a background of police, so we're not gonna do that. But the man, fine. He could get out of the
shout out this thing, man, because I could only hope that bail money would be waiting for me should I unfortunately ever end up in jail. But I got you. This man get it, girls, and going sick. And shout out to him. I just wanted to say that real quick. You get me? so I'm GLB number 2. All right. So shout out that partner. And we like to start things off, on the bright side. So we want to say a big shout out to the St. Croix Educational Complex cheerleading team. They managed to secure second place in the Super Varsity non-tumbling division at the 2025 ICU Cheerleading World School Championships in Orlando. They delivered a high-energy performance that earned praise from Virgin Islanders worldwide. If you want to go look at, some of how they performed, did post some on the Same Difference page. You could go ahead and check that out. Also, in other good news, the SBA approved 22 loans totaling over $9.8 million in the U.S. Virgin Islands during fiscal year 2024, which surpassed the previous record. Merchants Commercial Bank led SBA-backed lending, marking the first time a USVI chartered bank topped the list. So SBA lending in U.S. Virgin Islands actually hit a record high in 2024. That's great news for anybody who wanted to open a business. And opening a business isn't easy. Managing a business isn't easy. And sometimes getting the loan is hard too. So shout out to that and that good news. What do you think about that, Tiny?
That's amazing. That's 22 new businesses that had the opportunity to provide products to the Virgin Islands. So that's amazing. Congratulations to those businesses. And everything is hard work and nothing comes easy, but good for them. Happy for them.
Happy for them also. And to set a record, that's big. A new
Yeah.
record. We love setting records and breaking them too. So that's what's up. All right. Now to the bad news. A report from the VI Water and Power Authority's turnaround management firm, Ernst & Young, estimates that WAPA will require approximately $375 million to address its financial crisis, cover operational shortfalls, and resolve outstanding liabilities, unless substantial debt relief measures are implemented. WAPA also risks its bottom line through attrition. A 10% reduction in its customer base would cost the company about $8 million a year. Ernst & Young estimates altogether, all the risks that could be identified and quantified, should they come to pass, would raise the cash needed by WAPA to $498 million, just under $500 million, to stabilize itself over the next 5 years. The money would be required to fund operational cash burn and deferred maintenance and resolve legacy liabilities. The report says, noting $87 million in past due payables among WAPA's financial burdens. Compounding the issue, WAPA's projections contain many risks that may further deteriorate its financial situation and cause further stress on its operations. The report notes, if fuel rates do not fall but instead remain flat, WAPA's cash requirements between now and 2030 could be as much as $58 million more than projected. Any decrease in the levelized energy adjustment clause would cause a major reduction in cash flow. A 1 cent reduction of the LEAC would reduce cash inflows by $3 million or more annually, the report says. Whew. So they're looking for the amount of money to increase, but customers are already in trouble but from the high bills, and WAPA has some of the, if not the highest energy costs in the nation. So what's your thoughts on this? Maybe you could translate it for me. I know your business, your money talk. What's up? What is happening here? What are you trying to tell us?
So pretty much what WAPA needed to do, which what they should have done years ago, that they should have hold the government entities accountable for paying their bills. So they allow for a lot of government agencies not to pay their WAPA bills, but they're going to the regular consumers, increasing their bills to exuberant amounts, but then disconnecting them for not paying the bills that they actually should not be paying. But you're not disconnecting the government agencies. And these are things that when I worked for the government, was happening years and years and years ago. So imagine if they still have lingering balances for give or take 5 years ago, that would account for the 300, $400 million that they're looking for. So can I pay your bills, the government, and leave the consumers alone? Because my concern is that there shouldn't be senior citizens that don't turn on lights, that only cook once a day, that they don't have no AC units in their house, but their light bills are $800. Make that make sense for me. Like, come on now. We need to hold the government accountable, and you need to pay your bills. Pay your bills. What if they don't pay their bills? Then the government employees will have some days off because they just don't have no electricity. I mean, that's just how that story has to play. If you're gonna cut the regular person, cut the agencies too.
Now, okay, so obviously we can't go back in time, right? We can't go back in time to correct any issues, but we can go forward. Going forward, what would you like to see happen?
The same exact thing. They need to hold the agencies accountable for paying their bills. This even though it's not going back in time, but it's a consistent issue that continues to happen going forward with every administration. The government doesn't pay their bills when it comes to WAPA because they know that they are not gonna disconnect them. They know that they're not. So the first time WAPA decides to say, I'm turning it all off, you don't have no services, then that's when they're going to take it seriously and pay everything that is owed. If they don't do that, they're never going to get any money to do what they need to do.
Okay. So you think that would bring in more revenue? Because that's the problem. Would that bring in more revenue without, breaking the regular people's pockets and back?
Yes, it will.
Okay. Because I did see that in a news article where they had cut off an elderly person, and if I'm not mistaken, they were on oxygen, which I don't think that's legal. I could be mistaken, but I don't think that's legal.
Yeah, they've done that couple times. And had people trying to go and fight and finagle to get them put back on. Not saying that anyone is more important than the next, but when it just comes to you blatantly just disconnecting someone as a regular consumer, but you're not disconnecting those that actually have you in a deficit, that's a major problem.
True.
That's a problem.
True.
That's not accounting 101.
Well, we hope that they could get that figured out. Absolutely, because if they don't get the bills paid, if WAPA don't get their bills paid, they're gonna continue to, for lack of better words, they're gonna continue to rob Peter to pay Paul. Somebody gonna always end up short, and unfortunately, those shortfalls tend to get placed on the back of consumers. That's just how business goes. Like, that's the people where your money comes from. So they're gonna end up charging more if they don't get this resolved. So I hope that the people at WAPA get this dealt with for real, for real.
I hope so too, because quickly, like a perfect example. Like my mom has been here in the States with me from September of last year, and she just recently left on Wednesday. Do you know that my mom's WAPA bill, with nobody being in her apartment, was $120? No one was there. Her stove was unplugged, no lights were on, and it was $120.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. And I've heard plenty of stories like that, because I remember back in the day, there was an older lady. She was legally blind, so the only thing that she really had was her fridge and her radio that she would listen to. And her bill even then was 80 something dollars, which this was back in the day, which it was really high. That was considered really high back in the day. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I hope they get that resolved for real, for real. For the sake of the customers and for the sake of there's no other options. Like that, WAPA is who you got. You know what I mean? All right. Our guest just tapped in backstage. I see you. I see you. Let's get into this last piece here and see what you think about it. Governor Governor Albert Bryan Jr. has commuted the sentences of 6 individuals and issued 2 pardons, emphasizing rehabilitation and second chances. Government House did not disclose the crimes committed by those granted commutations. Government House announced on Thursday that Governor Albert Bryan Jr. has exercised his constitutional authority to grant clemency to 8 individuals, commuting the sentences of 6 and issuing 2 pardons in recognition of their rehabilitation, personal growth, and demonstrated commitment to positive reintegration into society. Governor Bryan stressed that these clemency actions do not diminish the gravity of the crimes committed or the impact on victims and their families. Instead, they reflect a belief in redemption and the importance of fostering opportunities for meaningful contributions to society. Government House said each case was reviewed carefully with consideration given to the individual's history, conduct during incarceration, and potential for successful reentry into the community. Carl E. Simon, 64, was sentenced to life without parole in 1995. Kevin M. Caldwell, 54, sentenced to life without parole in 1990, served 34 years. Romal K. Colburn, 51, sentenced to life without parole in 1994, has spent 30 years pursuing education and vocational training, earning his high school diploma and multiple technical certifications. Akeem Davis, 47, sentenced in 2015 to 15 years, has demonstrated strong rehabilitation and a commitment to personal betterment, earning praise for his motivation and dependability. In addition to the commutations, Governor Bryan granted full pardons to 2 individuals who have served their sentences and shown a strong commitment to rehab and reintegration. Bernalyn Tomo, 52, convicted of embezzlement. I thought we weren't naming their crimes. Convicted of embezzlement in 96 and a subsequent offense in 2003, has since earned a degree and contributed significantly to the field of education. Delvin Delano Duggins Sr., 58, sentenced in 2009 to 1 year of incarceration with 1 month suspended, has demonstrated substantial rehabilitation and personal growth. Governor Bryan acknowledged the gravity of granting clemency, stating that such decisions require careful deliberation. Now, Tiny, I know you've worked in the corrections part of things before. What do you think about the pardons and the commutations of sentences?
Everybody deserves a second chance.
Okay. Everybody, like everybody.
Okay. So let me
I ain't trying to throw you. I just
Let
throw you.
me. Some people deserve a second chance. There are some individuals who put that their best foot forward. They do the things that they need to do. They show that they are willing. They show that they will be productive in the community. All of those different things. But then there are some who put on the show because they know that if they continue to do these things for a long-standing amount of time, that they could get pardoned or they can be released and they won't have to be in jail anymore. All I can say, and I would hope, is that in their investigation, in their determination of the persons that they have pardoned and they have committed their offenses, that they make sure that they are correct. Because in all fairness, we have seen people that have been paroled and released, and they go back and do the same exact things that they have done before and even worse. So some people deserve a second chance and some people don't. Most of these that he has pardoned and released, they're of age. They're seniors, they're senior citizens. So I would hope, because they're older, that they served the time, they got it together, that this is not something that they want to continue pursuing in their life, that they want betterment, spend time with the children, the grandchildren, the great nieces, great nephews, all of that good stuff. So I hope that the decisions don't backfire on anybody. And that's me working in corrections and having that experience. Is like, you could never fully say that somebody is actually reformed.
You don't. You could never say that.
I mean, how would you be able to say that somebody is reformed? You can give them the opportunity to be out in the public and be out in the world and see what they would and they would not do. But you are not able to track their mindset to say they would never do this again. And that's the reason for these pardons, because they're saying that we don't see that this person would ever do this again. No one can say that. Only that person can make that judgment for themselves. We can't make those judgments. So we can only hope and pray that they don't do those things again.
True. That's very true. And let me see what they're saying in the chat. What going on? What's up, Darren? What's up? So thank you for that. Appreciate it. That was obviously insightful because you've been in the field, so you know what you're talking about. We got the special guest in the building. Unfortunately, the sound is not coming through on the radio. So if you're listening right now, please tap in with us on Raw FM Plus on the live stream, because we're gonna have to do strictly live stream. We gonna keep trying to work on the sound because I don't know what's going on. This is the second time, but we had it the first time we went live. But continue with us on the Raw FM live stream, and same difference in Facebook if you want to do it that way. And we'll be back with you. Number one station in the US Virgin Islands, Raw FM. Oh, that's unfortunate. All right. So we're going to continue with the live stream. Hey, there she is, Miss Helena Griffith. Thank you for coming through. Extraordinaire.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you coming through because I personally have a lot of, conflicting things regarding finances, and people most Americans struggle with it, with finances, really. Because I don't know why they don't really teach it in school. They don't teach you taxes. They don't teach you about credit cards and none of that stuff. But that's why you're here. So can you tell the people basically like what's your background and why they should listen to you?
Hey, that's a good one. All right. Well, my name is Helena Griffith. Don't laugh at me. My name is Helena Griffith. I am from the Virgin Islands, from St. Croix, actually. Went to UVI, good old UVI, as a nursing major. So I did that for 2 decades, a little over 2 decades, taking care of families and educating them on the importance of, their health. And I'm a pediatric nurse, so teaching the parents how to take care of their children. And so in that process, what I found is that uh, in the background, as a bedside nurse, what you hear is the cries for money, right? The cries for, hey, can you send me money for food, right? Can you send me money for XYZ, for the bold ones, right? Because you got some bold people who don't mind asking. And so you never really pay those things any mind. And then when life happens to you and the shoe is on the other foot, you're like, this is a real thing, right? This is a
Yeah.
real thing. And I thought, the whole time, I consider myself to be financially savvy and making good money and making good decisions. Um, but when the shoe was on the other foot, when I was on the other side of the table, not that I needed anybody to do those things for me, but it would have been nice. It would have been nice to have that olive branch stretched out to me, to say, well, since you're at the bedside for this amount of time, uh, would you like, or can I, for you, right, pay XYZ, or here's this, right? I just feel like as a community, and coming from a big family, that's just something that we should do for each other, right? Well, if we're going to talk about community. And so after losing loved ones, I realized that there's something here that needs to be taught in the community about
Okay.
finances. Everybody should be financially sound. Everybody should have total control of their finances so that they can navigate life and life challenges as they occur.
All right. Thank you. All right. So with that said, right, where should just regular people, nine to fivers, where should we start? Like as soon as we get out of school or whatever, we got our first job. What next?
Yes, that's a good time to start. We should actually start in school. Like, everybody complains about the same thing. Everybody that I meet talks about the exact same thing. We should have taught this. We should have learned this in school. Why they didn't teach us this in school? And listen, it's okay. It's okay that they didn't teach us. We're here now, right? We're here now, so we're gonna start from this point forward, moving and move forward. Okay. So for the 9 to 5ers, what I say is know your numbers. Know your numbers. It doesn't have you don't have to have this, like, you know pretty budget, right? But you have to know your numbers. That's the first place that everybody has to start. If you have to know how much you make, you have to know what your expenses are, the fixed ones and the ones that fluctuate,
Mhm.
and then you have to put a plan in place. You have to put a plan in place. You have to get educated. So three things need to happen. You have to be educated. We can't blame the school system anymore. We can't blame our parents for what they didn't teach us, because now we're adults. We
Okay.
have to take full responsibility for this thing if you want to be financially independent.
So when you
In
say we need to be educated, right? Where
Mhm.
does the education start if not at school? Like YouTube University, like because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So where do you start?
Yes, you're right. You really don't know what you don't know. And so YouTube University is a good place to start, and you have to just exercise discernment so that you can know who to listen to, right? What to filter, because there's so much on there that it can actually confuse you. So you have to pick one or two people that you can potentially listen to so that you can get the information that you need. So you have to think about a couple of things, like what's my goal. So after you make the decision that you want to be financially independent, you have to um, get the information that you're going to need so that you can fulfill your goals.
Okay.
Find somebody that you align with.
Find some. Well, can you explain that? Find somebody that you're aligned
Yeah,
with. What does that
because
mean?
and so that's a good one. So because people say different things, right? Some
Hmm.
people say I'm brutal, right? And I'm harsh and I'm direct. And
Okay.
that aligns with some people. For some people, that's offensive. So I may not align with those people, right? So, but ultimately, you want truth. Ultimately, you want truth, right? So find someone that you align with that can help you achieve your goals.
Find somebody that. Okay. Find somebody that you align with.
Align with, yeah. So you might have to
Okay.
listen to a couple. So you might have to listen to a couple of people if you're gonna go down YouTube University road. If not, you can always look at some type of financial institution,
Hmm.
right? And get an appointment with a couple of different people and see what they offer based on your goals and if those people can help you achieve those goals.
Okay. So who would you suggest to? Because remember, we're coming from the place of I don't know what to do. I don't know where to
Hmm.
start. What should I
Hmm.
do?
I agree. So a good place to start, I would say, is your mm, so depending on what area you're in, right? So you have places like Merrill Lynch. You have
Okay.
places like um, who else we can say? Citibank, right? Citibank is a solid financial institution, uh, and any other institutions like those. Now I'm just drawing a blank right now, but you're picking up what I'm putting down, right?
Yeah, yeah, I got you. All
Yeah.
right. So let's say that me as a
Charles
parent.
Schwab, that's a good one. My dad did Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab, you got it.
Nice
There you go.
background, Kyle. You're
Yeah.
officially in the studio. Appreciate it. I don't know if
hmm
Merrill Lynch is in the VIA. Is it?
It
They
is.
got a website.
They are. They in the VA.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say me as a parent, right? I wanna teach my children
Mm-hmm.
about money, right? Where do
Mm.
I start as a parent to try to get them prepared? Where should I begin? What's the baseline?
Oh, I like that. I think chores is a good one.
Okay.
Teaching children how to create. So one of the things I loved about my son when he was growing up was he was very creative when it came to how he can earn money, right? I never told him to do XYZ. And so he created his own chart, right? He said, okay, if I do this, do if I so he's gonna wash dishes anyway. So if I wash dishes, pack them away, and set the table, then I can get like an extra whatever, right? So he had his own little thing. So I appreciated that. So one of the things we have to teach children is to be creative and not always just depend on going to a job, right? Or go depending on somebody to give you something.
True.
So being creative and creating your wealth, just like how you have this podcast, you became creative, not necessarily depending on someone to give you your bread and butter. Then
Yeah.
maintaining what you earn, right? And so breaking down the budget into what you need versus your expenses, what you need, and obviously the things your vices, right? Because we still need to live in this world, right? And then also making sure that we put the money away for tomorrow, right? Because your future self still needs to be taken care of. Super important.
All right. Thank you. Tiny, you still with us?
I'm here.
You have any questions for the financial coach extraordinaire over here?
Um, not yet.
Okay. Marcus got some questions in the chat. Do I pay them for chores completed? How do you feel about stuff like that? I personally, I do have green light, and I do pay my children for chores. What do you think about that?
I definitely think so. I definitely think so. But not just paying them, but also showing them what to do with the money. I think that's the hardest part because money doesn't come with instructions, and that is this financial challenge that so many people have because it doesn't come with instructions. Right? You have your little summer job, and then next thing you know, you go to school, you get your job. Now you're a $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 earner, and never had a clue with what to do with it. And so you're gonna do what everybody else is doing: buy clothes, jewelry, especially if you're in the VI, right? Everybody have a handful of bangles, but nobody has IRA set up. Right? You laughing, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know who you're talking about.
Okay. so we have to have a plan for our money, because if we don't have a plan for our money, it will leave you. It will leave you, and quickly. It takes time to make money. It
True.
takes time to make money. Let me tell you, it leaves you very quickly if you don't have a plan for it.
That's a fact. And you won't know what you did with it after. You won't even remember. Because as
No,
soon as you break 100, that might as well be $10 now. Gotta
that's
rest
it.
on time.
But that's the running joke. No, but that's the truth, right? Because back in the day, say you don't want to break at 20. No, you afraid to break $100 because a
Yes.
hundred to spend like a $20 bill,
Facts.
considering that eggs is $10.
Now that I got money in my children's hands, whether it be from chores, a summer job, etc., what categories should I be teaching my child about? Expense account, savings, volunteer, or donations?
Yes, all of the above. All of the above. So
Okay.
just like how you would do now in real life, right? We have rent or mortgage to pay, right? So we have to put at least 70%. So everybody has different rules, and you have to find the one that works for you, whether it's 70/30, or 50/25/25, right? Live on 50%, save and invest 25%, and then live on the other 25%. There are a bunch of different numbers. Different numbers work for different people. So when I sit down with families, we take a look at that, and then we kind of divide it. But definitely 20% has to go into saving and investing. Super important. Okay. uh, a lot of people say live below their means. I don't like that term about living below your means, but we do have to be mindful, right? Be mindful, okay, in what you're spending your money on. It's super important, like you just said, like, sometimes you spend the money, you don't even know what you spend it on. Can we be mindful what we're buying? We have to be.
Key
The other day I was so taken back. There was a mob of men crossing the street to go buy Jordans. I said, we still doing that in 2025, and
Yeah.
everybody on the unemployment line? Let's be mindful. So to answer the question, so yes, sit down and show them that breakdown, right? So whether it's um, 70%, 60% that goes towards housing, food, and all your necessities, and then showing them the difference between saving and investing, right? And then the other 30% or 20% that they can actually go and have a good time. Go and have a good time. Like, everybody still wants to go to the movies and have a life, right? Everybody still wants to travel, and you can do all those things. But it really boils down to knowing your numbers and having a plan in place so that you can do those things. I don't like to call it a budget, I like to call it the yes list,
Hmm.
right? Because the list is going to tell you that yes, you can do this. And if it can't tell you, then now you get to say, well, how can I? We have to shift the mindset, right? You just can't ignore it. We just can't ignore, what the numbers are saying, because the numbers don't lie.
True.
The numbers don't ever lie.
Yeah, numbers never do lie. That's a fact. Keita says financial literacy is sorely needed. Learn about overdraft fees, check balancing the hard way. And I think a lot of us do learned that the hard way. So,
Mhm.
like, I want to know, what do you think, right? Is it a
Mhm.
bad thing? Am I a bad parent if I get a child that's like 17, 18, they're going off to college, maybe it's there, right? But it's staying home with me. Am I a bad parent if I charge my child like to pay a bill in a house or to pay an amount to stay, to teach them about what it's like outside the house? What do you think?
Um, what do I think?
That's a rough one.
Everybody has their own philosophy. I don't think that's
Mhm.
necessarily a bad thing. I don't necessarily think it's a good thing either.
Okay.
Um, some children, people need responsibilities. People need responsibilities. So I wouldn't necessarily say that they would have to pay a bill, but they definitely need some type of responsibility. And if I had to give them a bill, it would definitely be their cell phone. It would definitely be the cell phone bill, because that's
Okay.
the one thing that they do use. And so they will be mindful, right? And cell phone bills these days are better than what they used to be, right? You remember we had to pay 10 cents a minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
50
definitely.
cents. Exactly, right? And so if so needed, and they did have a job, then I would definitely give them some type of household responsibility. And if I had to give them a bill, it would definitely be the cell phone bill. That's what I would do.
Why the cell phone?
Because that's the one thing that they use. They don't want
But
it to
like,
get
do they
cut.
use the internet and stuff too? Do they use that
They
Wi-Fi?
do. They do. They do. My thing is I don't want to gouge them. I don't want to gouge them. But
Okay.
here's another thought process too. You can charge them a bill, take that money and invest it for them. So when they actually do leave the house, you can actually give that back to them. Just so that that they're thinking, okay, well, I'm actually paying this bill, I'm participating, but being that you are the parent, because as a parent, you're gonna pay all the bills anyway,
True.
right? So this is about teaching them the responsibility of paying a bill and paying it on time. So that's another approach that you can take too.
All right. All right. So let's get into the adult section now. So you had made a post about people needing Roth IRAs, and you know what I'm saying, something. You remember the post I'm talking about, right?
Hmm.
And you tell them what the post was and why you say that.
So the post was maturing is maxing out your retirement accounts, whether it be 401ks, 403bs, or IRAs. Okay. And the reason for the post was, when I have these conversations with people, a lot of people don't even know what any of those are, first of all, and they've already been in the workforce at least 5 years. So right there, they've already lost 5 years worth of investment money.
Mm.
Okay. Um, and so, one, just understanding that this is a tool that's been put in place for you to subsidize retirement. And so it's important for us to participate in these things so that it'll be part of, your multiple streams of income when you get to retirement, as opposed to just depending on Social Security.
So okay. So now, can you explain what the IRA and the 401k is? Because those are tied to the stock market, correct?
Yes. So 401ks, 457s, 43Bs, and they have a bunch of others. The TSPs for the federales, federal workers, are all retirement plans put in place to fund your retirement as a subsidy, when you get there, whenever you get to retirement. Okay. You want to participate, and when I say max it out in terms of company match. Okay. Max it out in terms of company match, because it's that tool is going to be taxed on the way out. When you get to retirement, it is going to be taxed, because they usually use pre-tax dollars. You work 40 hours, you get paid before Uncle Sam take his fair share. your company is going to put a certain percentage, 3%, 5%, 10%, whatever they deem they put in their plans for you. They're gonna pull that out and put that into your retirement plan so you can have that for your future self. Okay. And so Uncle Sam is going to want his fair share when time comes when you get to retirement. Okay. So you want to max that out up to whatever the company is giving you. We call that free money. Now, whatever you have at work, highly recommend you have outside of work. So this is where a Roth IRA comes in. Okay, a Roth IRA is an individual retirement account, and that, my friend, is the creme de la creme of retirement plans, right? Because it's a tax-free income stream that you will have for yourself in retirement. So you want to start that ASAP. ASAP. The more time you have, the more money you would have investing and working on your behalf. Okay?
I know when I seen that, because all right, I have some bitterness towards these accounts. Let me tell you why.
Let me
Right?
hear it. Let me hear it. Let me hear it.
I don't want you to think that when I replied, like it was towards you. I just get some money issues, some money anger, money trauma. That's the word. So, like when first of all, I feel like they created those things because they don't want to pay pensions no more. But that's neither here nor there. So it's tied to the stocks, which, if I'm not mistaken, you can also lose money and stuff like that. And I know of a few people, like I had an English teacher and a guy that I was a tech. He'd been working at United Rentals for like 30 years, and now he's looking at his retirement account, and he's like, I can't use this. So first, what is the chances that after I invested for 20, 30 years, that my money will be enough for me to live off of for real? And like, why is that better than putting it into a set savings account, a set like CD or high interest savings? Why is that better?
Oh, that's a good question. Good question. So yes, it's tied to the stock market. A lot of people have ill feelings about the stock market, not only because they don't understand. Okay, so the stock market fluctuates. It is going to fluctuate the same way how. Let me see if I can find a good example of fluctuation. Let's say there's 7 days in a week, right? There's 7 days in a week. If you don't feel good 2 days out of those 7 days, would you call that a bad week?
Yeah.
You would call it a bad week?
Wait, if you didn't do what? Say that again.
If you didn't feel good 2 out of the 7 days, would you call that?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's a pretty good week, especially if you work 5 days a week. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And you didn't feel good 2 days. I think that's a great week. The stock market is the same thing, right? It's gonna go up. It's gonna come down. Believe it or not, the stock market has only been down 8 big times.
Okay.
In all of this time.
One of those times, people were jumping from roofs, though.
Yes, yes, and I'm laughing, but not to be funny. And for those people who were ready, right there for retirement, definitely were the ones who felt it, right? For the people who still had time to recover, right? They if they stayed in, and hopefully they did, they would have recovered at least 10 times over. If you look at the numbers. Okay, so people just need to understand. Yeah, this is who's this gentleman style podcast. He nailed it. Investments in stock markets, although they fluctuate in value, will always outperform high yield savings account and money market accounts, and definitely CDs. Always. Hands down.
And we're talking over the 20 to 30-year time frame, not just as you watch it week to week.
Yeah, no, you can't watch it. like if that's your personality, and see, and everybody has a different personality, and you
Mhm.
have to find the one that you are, but you cannot become emotionally attached to it, because it's just like, look, I'm a nurse, so right, it's just like your pulse, right? It's gonna go up, it's gonna go down, and if you watch it, it's for sure it's gonna go up and it's gonna go down, right? Same thing with your blood pressure, it's gonna go up and it's gonna go down. That's just what it does. And if you listen to the news, they're like, oh, the Dow was this, and like, that's gonna make you crazy, right? This is why it's so important to have a financial coach, somebody who's going to have your best interests, right? Going to educate you. I really believe in people being educated, not just putting a plan in place so that they have something, right? I need you to know what's happening. That's important for me, for you to understand what's happening. And I want you to call me and ask me questions so that we can continue the education, right? It's just like when you leave high school, you keep learning.
You're supposed to, yeah.
You're supposed to, right? You're supposed to, right? And so this whole, financial journey is a continuous learning process, because things are always changing. And so, yeah, and you must be diversified. Absolutely. So this person, right? Listen, this person in here doing the thing. 401ks, IRAs are always better than CDs. CDs won't lock up your money,
Mhm.
right? They don't give you would never get as much interest on your money. High yield savings account, same thing. You're not going to get as much money as you possibly can. Now, not saying that you can't have a high yield savings account. It's a decent place to have your money, for like an emergency fund. Okay. um and so that you have quick access to it. But if you really want to grow wealth, and you really want to have a decent amount of money for retirement, then you definitely need to be invested in the market so that the market will work for you. And the sooner you get in, the more time you have, so that you can so that that'll happen for you.
Okay, thank you. You're dropping gems today, and I appreciate you. Appreciate you bringing your wealth of wisdom up over here. You mentioned rainy day funds, right?
Hmm.
Now, according to the statistics, about 60% of the nation is living paycheck to paycheck. Rainy day account is supposed to have what, 6 months to a year of personal expenses. So
Absolutely.
how do you tell someone that is struggling or living paycheck to paycheck how to do that? What should we do?
Well, first let's take a look at the numbers. We have to take a look at the numbers and see what's coming in, and see where money's being spent. That's
Hmm.
the first place to start. And then from that, then we need a plan. Have to put a plan in place so that you know exactly what needs to be paid and when they're being paid. And then we need to put money. You have to learn. We have to learn to pay ourselves first. We have to first. So the experts normally say start with $1,000. Okay, if you can't start with $1,000, can we start with 100? Let's start with 100, and then plan to grow it to 1,000. Then when you grow it to 1,000, okay, my total expenses for a month is $5,000. Now you got some work to do, right?
Hmm.
So now your first goal is to have at least 1 month's worth working towards to set aside.
Okay.
Then when you get that, then next thing you go to 3 months until you get up to the year worth of emergency funds sitting in your high yield savings account, if that's where you decide to have it. Well, listen, the whole goal is listen. The whole goal is to make sure that you have money set aside so that when things happen, like the fires in California,
Hmm.
or if you have things like the hurricanes that happened in Florida last summer, that you'll be able to pick you and or your family up and go somewhere for a time without having to worry about who's going to take care of me.
But ain't that what insurance about? I'm playing
Listen,
devil's advocate.
it's
Ain't that what insurance? Why paying every month?
absolutely. But also, the whole goal of financial wellness is to have total control. from outside sources. Now, yes, we need outside sources to take care of some things, absolutely. But for the things that you can control, let's control those. You can control how much you make and how much you spend and invest. That's your job. That's your duty to yourself. That's your duty to yourself.
When you mention paying yourself, what what were you referring to? I have an idea, but what were you referring to, and like how much do you pay yourself?
So definitely, paying yourself first is comprised of a couple of buckets. Okay, so one, the emergency fund, have to get that built up,
That's the
right?
first thing. That's the first rung in your ladder.
That's the first round.
Okay.
In the yes, in the buckets, right? Because
Okay.
guess what's it might actually be second, and the reason why I say it might be second is because once you get a paycheck, some of it's going to go into your 401k if you're already enrolled, right? Which is also part of the bucket. Okay.
True. True.
So assuming that you have one going into your whatever your retirement is on the job, then guess what? Then whatever once that money gets deposited into your checking account, then now it needs to be going into some needs to be going into your emergency fund and then into your IRA. Okay. So that you can be building wealth independently of the job as well.
Where does entertainment fit into the paying myself? Because I need to know. I need to go to a fete every once in a while so I don't
Oh,
lose my mind.
absolutely. That's
So
gonna
what does
come
that fit?
into the other 30%.
Okay. So
Okay.
you
So
need.
let's
Good.
let's say when you break down your budget, okay, you have 60% for all the things that you need to pay to keep the roof over your head and all the things that comes with that. Okay. Then you have uh 20% going into savings and investments, right? So 5% on the job, 5% into your IRA, 5% into your emergency fund, however that those numbers break down. Then you have the remainder for you to live on, to fet
Okay.
and get your hair, nails, buy your shoes, your Jordan. Listen,
Uh-huh.
right? It just gotta be in the numbers.
True.
It just gotta be in the numbers,
Okay.
right?
All right. All right. Cause you have to like okay, saving money and all of that is a sacrifice. We don't like the word, but it is a sacrifice for many, if not all of us. Unless you just a really thrifty pinching penny miser, it's work. So, and then, like I said, 60% of the nation living paycheck to paycheck. So you're trying to figure out how to pay all these expenses on time. Don't get behind, keep your credit good, but also enjoy life because nobody just wants to work and pay bills. So
All
I appreciate you doing that and
Absolutely,
fitting in.
absolutely. All work and no play makes everybody dull, right? So yeah, you just have to break that thing down so that you can so you know where things are going. And here's a cool thing that I actually have people do is uh have two checking accounts. Have two checking accounts. I think it's super important, and this comes with knowing your numbers. And so when you know your numbers, you know how much your rent, your mortgage is, and all the things that come with that, right? Your electricity, cell phone bill, blah, all the things, right? Whatever that number is, put it in checking account number one. Go to the HR, whoever your the people that handles um your direct deposit, and say, hey, listen, I need to split that thing up. Okay, I need $2,000 to go into this account, and then I need the other $1,500 to go into this account. And so you know that all your bills are taken care of. Your bills and all your savings and investment is taken care of, and then you don't have a debit card for that account because that one is strictly for bills. The second account, guess what? Swipe away, okay? Because now you're free and clear because everything's already taken care of because you put the money there for that,
Okay.
and that decreases your stress.
Okay. Hey, there you have it. Have two
And this
checking
is and them overdraft fees that you was talking about earlier.
accounts.
Listen, But listen, that I think that, like, that is when I started to do that, game changer. Okay, game changer.
Who is earning $3,500 every 2 weeks? There's people. I'm sure there's people
Absolutely,
doing.
there are people who makes $3,500 every 2 weeks.
They're doing well, like higher than the national average, but they're out there.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure,
They're out there.
absolutely.
Now, let's talk about it. Let's go into credit because
Ooh-wee.
that's that's a hard topic for a lot of people, especially if you don't know a lot about credit. First, we're gonna start here. What is the number one thing that you like? If somebody comes in, tries to talk to you, hey, financial coach, coach me, please. I need to learn about credit. What would you tell a grown man asking about credit? Where would you start?
Oh my goodness, that's such a good one. So, so disclaimer, I don't usually help people with credit repair and things like that. And I usually refer them to, I have three people that I would refer them to, if they needed credit repair and things like that. But what I would say is definitely if you have credit cards, you got to know your numbers, right? If you have a credit card and it has the people that are so graciously give you $5,000, you need to know this. So you need to know how much to spend that you can swipe up to on it, which guess what? It's only 30%. Okay. So that is what you should max your card to if you ever had to max your card, and try to get it down to 30% to help raise your credit score.
The 30% you're referring to is a utilization rate that the credit departments check for.
Yes, it.
Okay.
That's it, right? So for easy math, right? Let's say your credit limit is $1,000. You're really only allowed to spend 300. That's it. That's your credit limit. Yeah, that thing says $1,000, but guess what? You're gonna start dropping your score once you go over that 30%. You're gonna start dropping your score when you go over that 30%. So the quicker you can come back down and stay under 30%, that's great. But more importantly than anything else, we should not be using credit to buy everyday things. And at
Mm.
the end of the month, we should be paying off our credit cards.
What should we be using credit for then, if not everyday things?
Going on a trip, right? Buying your tickets, right? It's because credit cards, they have benefits in there when you're on a trip that you can get. They have what are the last words
Rewards,
now?
a
They
rewards
have,
program.
so one, you can get points, right? You can definitely get points. um and then they have like travel guides, stipulations, and things on there too that you can get. um Anything vacation, things like that. But just to go to the grocery store to buy bread, eggs, milk, and cheese, no. Just to buy an outfit to go Saturday night to go see Buju, absolutely not. Okay, to buy Jordans, no. No, that's not what that's for.
What you telling me? The
I
the
just
the
telling you because I
girl,
don't know. I don't know people does do that, right?
so the girl gonna buy her outfit to try to woo and catch Buju so he could pay her bills. That ain't an investment.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's not what it's for. Travel protect. Thank you. See, gentleman style podcast. He got me. Okay, travel protection insurance. There we go. Thank you so much. Right? You don't have to be smart. You just have to be around smart people.
Nah. There you go. I like that. Gentleman style asks, what would you say to someone who wants to build credit and doesn't necessarily need credit repair yet? What would you say to them?
um. So credit cards is a good place to go. Another place to go to is go to the bank, and you can get a loan. You can get a quick little personal loan, $1,000, $2,000. You can use whatever you have in your savings account and use that as collateral and just pay that back. So one, it does a couple of things. It builds a relationship with the bank, right? And then at the same time, you are building your credit by showing them that you're responsible, that you can pay your loan back and pay it on time.
Would you say the magic number for paying bills on time is around 6 months if you're trying to get like a credit limit increase or something like that? 6
Uh,
months.
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. Would have to ask the credit people that one.
Gotcha. Yo, speaking of the credit people, man, I don't like to mess over people business, and I'd allow them, I'd allow them and go about this. But like, can't you do the same things yourself
You
without
can.
paying $500?
Yeah, you can. And they tell you. This, like, the people who pay are the people who don't want to take the time to do the work.
Mm,
The people who pay are the people who don't want to take the time to learn it, to do the work. And so since I'm going to sit here and accumulate all this data and use it for you, for your betterment, then yeah, you're going to pay me for my time.
true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ain't mad at them, right? But
Oh,
like, pay them people. Like,
yeah,
go
yeah, pay them
pay
people.
your creditors and pay your bills on time and stuff. Like that's how you could build your credit. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can dispute stuff also yourself. You could do that yourself too. I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
absolutely. All that's there. YouTube University, especially after COVID, definitely uh, uh, helped a lot of people take care of things like that. But for those who still, don't want to take the time to learn it, then yeah, pay them people their money.
That's all. And at least for 6 months to a year, you know what I'm saying, to help. It's a slow process, especially if you
Hmm.
got 330 and you want to go buy that scat pack, you're gonna gotta wait a while. You
Yeah,
check?
yeah,
But I mean it's
absolutely,
worth it if you're serious.
absolutely,
Let,
absolutely.
let's talk one of my least favorite topics.
What's that?
Investing.
Oh, come on! Why is it your least favorite?
I've had so many bad experiences with investing, like lost like $750 giving it to this dude who was playing options. When I look at my 401k, and then you got people in office, like who's in office right now, that'll shake up the stock market. And like, okay, what should I do? Who ain't got no time to watch my portfolio? And you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're supposed to diversify, but with what? I don't know. I don't know. So what should I do?
That's a good question. Listen, you're just like most people, and that's another reason why I got into learning this so that people can have a resource that they can come to, just like in nursing, so that they can under one be educated so that they can understand what's going on in their 401k when they do open it. Super important, okay? Because like you said, we don't know what we don't know. And I sure as hell didn't know what I didn't know 5 years ago, okay? um, so and so um, investing is the one of the ways to build wealth. One of the ways to build wealth. We cannot save our way to it. We cannot. And I'm sorry that you had a bad investing experience. I'm a fundamentalist. Okay, we have to get back to basics, keep it basic, okay? Because so many people don't know. And so just like we teach kids ABCs, right? Letters form words, words from sentences, and so on and so forth. Let's get back to investing fundamentals, okay? Really, really simple. One, let's make a decision that this is something that we want to do and that we actually do want to build wealth. Okay, and understand that there's some work that's going to have to come behind of it, and you're going to have to be a student. You're going to have to be a student of this so that you can be empowered. We have to be empowered, especially in today's climate. Have to be empowered. You have to know what you need to know so that one, you can um, build wealth not only just for yourself but also for your children and your children's children. That's a real thing, right? According to scripture, but that's a conversation for another day. um, so one, uh, if you have a job, then you have to call the HR department, find out what type of retirement plan they have, and participate. Find out what the match is and do that. Okay, at minimum. That's just one bucket. Another bucket, you have to get, everybody should have a Roth IRA. Everybody should have a Roth IRA. Tax free income stream in retirement. Tax free income stream in retirement. Have to do it, right? The tax code allows for it. Let's do it. Okay. Um, then we got to know what you need for retirement. A lot of people don't know what they need for retirement, and they're just out here just winging it. Oh, I put an X amount of dollars. I don't even know how much, but I participated in my retirement account at work, but they don't know what that is.
So
We have to
how do
be.
you gauge that? How do you gauge what you
How do you
need?
gauge that? It depends on how much you make. Depends on how much you make, and we can do a projection of how long you're actually going to be in retirement. Some people, so just think about it like this. Right now, most people work 40 years, paycheck to paycheck. So when you get to retirement and your income is going to be reduced significantly, how are you going to maintain those next 20 years? God providing that you live. And who's responsible for taking care of you?
Hey, we got Tiny on the camera, just sitting silently. I go check on she in a minute, make sure she didn't pass away. Tiny, are you still with us, ma'am? We want to know who the mystery podcaster is that ain't saying nothing. Some of the questions, we got some questions I want to put in the
Oh,
chat too.
good. What they got
So I don't
for
want
me?
to skip nobody. Why should someone hire a financial advisor / financial coach instead of using one of these robo advisor apps instead?
Oh, that's a good one. That's easy. Um, you get someone that you can talk to. I don't know about y'all, but as much as I love I just feel robots have a place in life. To vacuum my floor, sure. Right? To tell me what the weather is, absolutely. Okay. But when it comes to personal experience and relationship, I want somebody that I can talk to. I want somebody that I can talk to, that I can ask questions to, who cares about my goals and who's really invested in helping me obtain those goals.
Thank you, thank you. Wait,
Absolutely.
let's see. What we got some more. How does someone who's self-employed get an IRA?
Um, so you have a couple of options. You can the different financial institutions, they usually have them, that you can get started with them. Again, you have uh, the well-renowned, a couple of apps now offer IRAs that you can go to. So you definitely have options. If you do a Google search, you can pull that up, and then you just have to do your homework and see what they offer. What's important is what you put in it, right? So it's like buying a house, right? You can buy a nice house, looks good on the outside, but what you gonna put on the inside? What kind of furniture you gonna buy? Right? You gonna buy plastic chairs, or you gonna buy
Wow.
mahogany?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
On a Roth IRA, isn't it a cap of $7,500 this year?
Um, for it. So last I checked, it was still at 7,000. I heard it was gonna go up. I hadn't seen it yet, but that could change at any given moment. But last I did check, it was at 7,000. If you're under the age of 50. Now, once you're over 50, then you get a catch up extra $1,000 of 8,000 that you can put in there.
All right.
That's a good one. And here's another thing that a lot of people don't know as well, is you have up until April 15th to catch up for last year. So if you didn't participate last year, you can still put money into your IRA up until April 15th for 2024.
Nice.
So when you get your tax return, I highly suggest that's a good place to put that money. No big screen TVs. Okay, we're changing the culture. We're changing the mindset. No more Jordan. He's a Jordan. Jordan got money. Okay, we want to listen. We just want 1%
Yeah.
of what he got. Okay, so take your tax return and do something good with the thing. Okay.
Yeah,
I
he
just
rich enough. Hey,
listen.
and don't get that money to your baby daddy to flip neither. Go ahead
Oh
and
yeah, no,
invest it in
let's not do
something else.
that.
Let's stop doing it. It's
Let's
2024.
stop doing that.
Cat Cat says I used to be scared to invest, but now it has made me some real money.
Real
So
money. There
please,
you go.
I don't
Yes.
know anybody making no real money. And like I told you, partner tell me he was making real money and then last my 750. So is there ways for regular people that are not day traders to make money now in stocks, or should we just be looking towards the future?
But you see, here's the thing. It's based on your personality, right? So, and then you gave the ultimate control to somebody else. And the thing with the stock market, you can't time the stock market. You can't. So when you gave him your money at that time, the stock market may have just been trending down. You just didn't know. You just didn't know this. You can't time it, right? You
Okay.
can't double dutch. You can't double dutch the stock market because it fluctuates. And so the whole point is to, put get in, and every week or every 2 weeks when you get paid, that you're actually putting money into it, right? We call that dollar cost averaging, right? So the stock may be $25 today, right? And if you're putting in $50, you get two. Next week, it may be down $10, right? So now you're going to get five. The whole point is to get shares. You want shares, is what you want. That's what you're looking for. How many shares can I get? So over time, when you do it that way, is where it really pays off. That's where it really pays off.
There it goes. Hey,
No
Tiny, you still
Beyonce
with us?
tickets. That's what I say. No Beyonce tickets. Hey, listen. If Beyonce tickets fall into the bucket of your budget that allows you to buy Beyonce tickets after you've paid your bills and you've taken paid yourself first, then sure, by all means, go ahead. Is there a real way to make money in stocks for a 9 to 5? Absolutely, absolutely. This is where you have the IRAs and you have the 401ks on the job, right? And then you have mutual funds. Like there's different ways. So everybody has a different need. Another reason why I feel like it's important to have a financial coach so that you can have somebody to sit down and show you what your options are. They are options for you and your children, right? Another post that I made, I don't know if you saw that one. Can we normalize wealth building accounts for babies?
Instead of a baby shower and a gender reveal, no,
Well,
nobody giving up
well,
the
no,
gender reveal.
you can still have the baby. You can still have the baby shower because it's very helpful. I had two, right? Like
Okay.
my circle loved me. Okay, I had two. I didn't need to buy a single thing for the baby besides diapers. Okay, and so super super important. But at the same time, if everybody also put $25, right, and I open a investment account for my kid, and guess what? We'd have had money for a lot of money, a lot more money for college, right? Like I did open an account for him, but guess what? We could have had a whole lot more money for. Listen, you know how much money people spend now on prom?
Oh yeah.
So if parents even understood what investing could do for prom, listen, we're gonna start having weddings, okay? Right? Listen, the amount of money you have 18 years
Mhm.
to invest and let that money sit and grow. You would not be stressed about where this money is going to come from come prom time. You're not going to be stressed about where this money is going to come from when it's time for college, right? Like if your kid, and guess what? If your children are super smart and they get these scholarships, and guess what? All this money that you've been investing these last 18 years is there so that they can, start a life, buy a home, right? Buy investments, start a business, all these things like that can happen with just investing over these last 18 years for your children. Really set them up for a future. They're gonna have some problems, but let's not make money one of them. Okay.
True. What's a example of a wealth building account for babies?
A 529, right? That one send your kids to college. Then you have UTMAs and UGMAs, right? Uniform transfer to minor account, and then the other one is uniform transfer gifts to minor account. You have a Coverdell. and so you have options, and all those things do different things for um, uh, for 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 each person, depending on what the goals are. So again, when I sit down, we have a conversation about what they would like to accomplish for their children. Then we put one of those plans in place so that they can start growing their wealth that way.
Nice. You're
Mhm.
dropping gems. You're dropping gems. Thank you so much. This
Thanks.
has been great. We want to bring in the silent writer in now. Tiny,
Hi.
hey, you got any questions for our guest?
So for me, so I don't have any questions. The reason being I don't have any questions is because my background is finance.
Mhm.
And for me, with um my children, I started them out at the age of 17 with Discover cards, with them building their credit. When they used to get paid every paycheck, when they used to work at KFC part-time, they were
Mhm.
putting money into their savings accounts. And by the time they graduated from college, collectively between the twins, they had over 30 grand saved, where they got their first home together, furnished their home, bought cars, all of those different things. So for me, I don't have questions.
Mhm.
But for somebody else that may not know, how do you feel in regards to a high school student actually starting to build credit, and what would you suggest for a parent to guide that child into starting to build that credit?
Oh, absolutely. I do love the idea of getting your well. One way you can definitely do it is putting your kids on your credit card, providing you're in good standing. Okay, that's a simple, easy way to start them on the wealth building journey. One other thing that I did was when I did buy my house and I got furniture. Guess what? I took a loan, and then I put my sister on the loan so that it can start her credit building as well. So those are two really easy ways that you can start building your children's credit. So by the time they get out of college, they have something to go on. Mhm.
So the authorized user on a credit card, they build credit too?
Absolutely.
Okay. And parents, do not be putting no loans in your baby's name.
Please
There's
don't
no
do that.
reason
Don't
an
do that.
11-year-old should have a phone bill
No,
in
they
their
should
name.
not. They should not. Or the
Or
Again,
light bill. Or the light bill.
yeah.
my money trauma, because
Come
I
on
found
now.
out the hard way I had a cell phone
Come
bill in
on
my
now.
name.
Yeah, no man, let's not do that. Yeah. So yeah, so those are things that you don't want to do to your children, right? We say we do anything for our children. Let's really put them in a position where we're helping them by making sure that they're educated on the basics, so that they don't have the same challenges that we have
Facts.
especially
That should be the goal.
when it comes to finances, right? We need to get back. You know, I think about this a lot, and then you guys can tell me how you feel about this. You know that our parents did us a disservice where they, encouraged us to go to school and get these good jobs, right? And with the strike of a pen, you have people like Donald Trump who come into office and just take that away because all these government workers thought that their jobs were safe, right? Our grandparents, who were all entrepreneurs, right? They were all entrepreneurs, figured it out. They did more with less. They did more with less. Okay? Entrepreneurship built America. Entrepreneurship built the Virgin Islands. Are you kidding me? And we still have a lot of entrepreneurs still in the Caribbean. Look at Ag Fair, right? And all the entrepreneurs showcasing their stuff. And I just really feel like we really need to get back to entrepreneurship, but then also just entrepreneurs supporting entrepreneurs.
Woo! UK.
Entrepreneurs supporting entrepreneurs. Like we have to do it. We have to do it in our community. We have to do it, and it's so sad. Like everybody wants to get mad at the other cultures, but they're united.
Facts.
They're united.
Talk your girl.
I'm just
Speak.
saying, they are united. You know,
Thank you.
African Americans give African Americans a bad name. Then you want to get mad at other people for not doing business with you. When one, your customer service sucks.
Agree.
Okay.
Great.
Your customer service sucks. Okay.
Yay.
And then you want to gouge. Like, listen, we have to be better. We have to be better. We have to teach our children to create, maintain, and perpetuate. We have to teach our children to create their own bag, maintain the bag, so that when they leave here, one, they know how to perpetuate the bag, right? Everybody wants to talk about legacy and generation of this and generation of that. It requires some work. It's going to require some sacrifice, right? It may not be me. I may not be the millionaire, right? But my son and my two grandchildren, they're going to be billionaires, okay? Because what I'm teaching them now, like the stuff that I didn't learn, and so that they when when they get this wealth, right, when they get my life insurance policy when I die, we didn't talk about life insurance yet. When they get my life insurance policy when I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I know my son's not gonna go buy no fast car.
Glad you brought that up.
And this is the problem when we have these conversations with people of color and the people who are not educated. They are afraid to leave money for their children and their children's children because why? They themselves are not educated. And so what they would do with the money if they came into it is spend it lavishly. And so they don't want to do the same for the offspring that they created.
Mm,
Now you're being selfish.
mm. I'm gonna let Jamie take the ball on that one because you speaking to my heart right now. But when I say it, I just look angry. Tiny, you want
Yeah.
to tell them what she just said? And Marcus, the man said black, browns, and indigenous people
Indigenous
built
people built
America.
America. Absolutely.
Black.
Yes, we did.
Listen, I don't like that Browns talk. Like I don't like the way that sound. It don't come out right. But yeah, Tiny, what you think about what she said?
So for me, with life insurance policies, I again being with that background of finance, like I have had many conversations with my older daughters because I'm to the age that anything can happen. And I need for them to understand that what I'm leaving you is for you to continue on the legacy and to build a legacy of your own. So they are aware that, hey, mommy has policies that specifically is going to allow you that if you already have a mortgage, your house is going to be paid off. If you have a car, your car will be paid off as well. And if your younger siblings are still considered to be minors, you are the ones that's gonna be, responsible to make sure that your younger siblings are taken care of because they are gonna be able to do the same thing. Because for us, and I say for us, there is a lot of us in our community that cannot own a home, cannot actually say that we own a vehicle, that we keep paying on these things, but it doesn't actually belong to us. So for me, I want for my children to be able to say, this is mine. This is what my parents or my grandparents or my grandmothers created.
Oh, did we
Hello?
lose her? Did we lose her?
I don't know. She was on a roll.
She sure was. She sure was. But to pick up where she left off, she's absolutely correct. She's absolutely correct. Like, we work hard, we buy these homes, and then the government takes them because nobody thought enough to just put, a simple policy in place that'll take care of that. So important. You have the conversation and people start to get queasy about what? About life insurance. Like, let's understand what it is, right? Life insurance is simply protection. That's all it is. The same way you get in your car, you put the seatbelt on, you're protecting yourself from being ejected out of that car. That's all life insurance is.
I'm
We
glad
gonna
you.
die. We gonna die. That's
I'm
it.
glad.
We are going to die. When you are born, you will die. It's inevitable. It's not about if, it's always about when. Can we be prepared? Let us get prepared. If we are going to create a family, especially if you're going to create a family and you have people who are financially dependent on you, you have to have life insurance. Don't let Donald Trump put into law that you have to have life insurance, because then you know what's going to happen to supply and demand? The cost going to go up. The cost already going up
On everything.
on everything, and it's going up on that too. Okay, because
Um,
believe, although a lot of people still don't have it, people are actually still getting it. But if a law get put into place, I promise you, supply and demand, it is going up.
yeah,
So for
because
what you
that's
could
what
get
happened
for
with auto
pennies,
insurance.
exactly, exactly. So for pennies on the dollar now, listen, put a plan in place to take care of the thing that you love the most, your family. Because why you out here creating families and then you don't want to protect them, educate so that when you leave here they know exactly what to do. Write a letter, write a love letter for them, if and tell them, listen, this is what I need you to do. Now what they do with it after you done do what you're supposed to do, that's on them. But what they can say is that you didn't leave them something to take care of the things that you left behind, especially if you have property. Who paying property tax?
Mm.
If people live in paycheck to paycheck and I leave you two houses, we still got to maintain it. I've still got to pay property tax. I've still got to maintain where I live. You need life insurance for that.
I'm glad that you guys brought up the life insurance and the real estate thing, because that would have been where we ended off. Because that's why. Why do you think in our community specifically? Why do you think in our community we rather go fund me than life insurance and real estate investments when it's proven that those two things are like the number one and number two ways or pathways to generational wealth? Because our parents and stuff, they missed out on a lot of generational wealth because they didn't have access to land, and like land being taken away and eminent domain and not given the 40 acres and a mule and all that. Why do you think we depend so much on something like GoFundMe as opposed to life insurance?
I would say a couple of reasons. One is really just education, right? So a lot of people really just don't know about life insurance. A lot of
Mm.
people really just like, no, I don't know anything about life insurance. They just don't know. Um, and so that's one. And then two, when they finally do learn about it, it depends on who they're talking to. They're only gonna give them enough just for the funeral. And a lot of people feel like that's all they need. I just need enough just to bury me. Well, you have a 5-year-old, so maybe you might need a little bit more than just that. Okay. Um, and then a lot of people just want to depend on work insurance. Well, guess what? Donald Trump just fixed that for everybody, right? With a stroke of a pen, right? We're about to have how many people unemployed, and guess what? Job insurance is not always transferable, and if it is, then guess what? You ever hear Cobra? Same thing happens with those policies. Okay, they quadruple, if not more, of But you want to have something independent of the job, so you don't ever have that problem. But more importantly, for the people who you love the most, right? Because love is not temporary. Love is always. Love ain't temporary. Love is always. So if I love you, can I take some action to put in place for pennies on the dollar? Most policies usually cost, guess what? Less than $100.
Less than $100 a month.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is you're gonna take your $3,000 income that you just brought into the house. You're gonna take 100 of those dollars and secure your family with a quarter million, half a million, or $1 million, depending on how old you are and how healthy you are, with just $100. Is that asking too much of you for the family that you created?
Life insurance should be required once you have a child. How do you feel
Amen.
about that?
I
You agree?
agree. Oh, wow, 100%. 100%.
Adrena
100%.
says, go ahead. You were going to say
The
something,
more
sir?
people, what I want to say, the more people what?
More people that are insured by a company, it lowers the premium. It's a sharing the cost of the burden type of premium.
That is group insurance. That is what happens when you're on a job. So this is what on the job you can get like life insurance for like $2.60 or something crazy, right? But here's the problem. They control it. They can change the terms and conditions at any given moment. And how many people can honestly say that they read their bill?
Mm.
Me.
Okay. And so if you're going to read your mail, right, and they say, okay, so now we're changing the terms, you can't have XYZ anymore, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, right? There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. But because it's $2.60, you're okay with that. $20 a policy. You're okay with that. What? Like how do you put like, how do you really put a cost on something that's so valuable?
So can I interject for 1 second?
Absolutely.
So with those policies that are $20 a month for a policy, you need to
Mhm.
make sure that you're reading your policy, because there are so many little catches and different things of that nature that will cause you to not ever get paid out for that policy, because you are not truly paying the value of the policy for the person that you have it on. So you
Amen.
guys have to be very, very careful when you're
Amen.
looking at the amount that you're paying per month versus the amount that you're thinking that you have a policy for if God forbid something happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
Please be very careful, because
Yes.
a lot of those policies are not actual policies.
Yep.
They are just a placeholder to say, well, we're expecting for this person to live until they're 90 years old, and then we're going to pay you out the amount of that policy at that time. Be very wary of that.
Yes, ma'am. She did. That's 100% true. That is 100% true. Some people have a policy and they're not even covered for the first 2 years. They don't even know that they're not covered.
Yep,
You're paying
Don't
for
even.
2 years and ain't
You
covered.
hear what?
that's
Listen, you hear
correct.
what I tell you?
That's correct.
Especially if you have pre existing conditions. Yeah, we gonna put something in place. You're gonna pay X amount of dollars and high dollars too, you know. But guess what? If you die in these 2 years, the
You're not
most
covered.
you ain't covered, and the most you're gonna get back is the premium that you pay.
You paid. That's
You
right.
have to be careful. All policies aren't created equal. Stop trying to jip yourselves and your families just because the commercials say $10 for X amount of dollars. Are you not worth more than that? You spend that on other things that are dissipating that you don't even know what you spend the money on.
That's crazy. Insurance is a scam. That's
No, don't say
like
that. Don't say
insurance.
that. Don't say that. You don't say that. Don't don't say that. And the reason why I say don't say that is because so many people are already not insured. And so when people, I consider you to be of influence. And so I would say just choose your words carefully, because somebody gonna hear that and then they ain't gonna get nothing at all. You know what I'm saying? And so I personally don't know anybody who have a quart mil sitting on. I personally don't know nobody who have a half a million sitting on. I just don't know, right? I just don't know people who have $1 million sitting on. So guess what? For what you can spend 50, 100, $200 on to put that in place for you and your loved ones, because guess what? You also want to have a policy that have living benefits. Super important. I had a client, guess what? She got breast cancer. Luckily for her, she was able to go back to work. But what if you can't?
True.
What if you can't?
Gentleman style asks, do you have a preference, whole life or term life insurance?
Oh, good one. That's a good
Whole
one.
life.
Tanya, what you say?
Whole life.
Whole life? Okay. All right. Let's understand what they do,
Yeah.
right? So whole life policies cover you until you're 99, 100 years old. How many people you know live until then?
Not many.
Not many, right? Even mortgages are for 30 years. You pay the mortgage, and then guess what? You have a home, right? And understanding what life insurance is literally for protection during your most vulnerable times. And so while you're building your wealth, you need coverage. That's when you're vulnerable. Right now, all of us are vulnerable. So we should have a policy in place. The experts say that you should have a term policy because you're getting robbed if you have anything else, right? Pure insurance is all you need. Protection during your most vulnerable times. In the meantime, while you're building wealth in your 401k, in your Roth, in your mutual funds, and whatever your vehicle of choice is based on your plan, you become self-insured over time because it takes time to make money, right? And so since it takes time to make money, we want to make sure that you're covered with enough life insurance to take care of the thing that you're currently taking care of. So you don't need life insurance for your whole life, only for your most vulnerable times. And that's one of the things that they teach, especially people who look like us, to get these whole life policies. So then what happens is you only get 100,000, and then you're paying a whole lot of money. Whereas with a term policy, um, let's say the average person is about 30, 33 years old when they really make the decision to be financially independent, right? And they say, okay, let me go ahead and get a policy, and I'm gonna get a whole life policy. And this is real life story because this is what happened to me. I got $250,000, and I was paying $299. 33 years old, young, healthy. I was a little juicy, right? But yeah, but $300.
Okay.
Okay, for a whole life policy. Whereas had I got a term policy, I could have got $1 million for about 120, 125 maybe.
Damn.
Exactly.
That's correct. That is
Exactly.
correct.
So
But
what people don't understand is you need to buy a term policy, but you also need to be investing, and they need to be growing like this together. Because what's gonna happen is investments will always outperform a whole life policy. Any cash building policy is always going to underperform because they're only going to guarantee you 3% or 4%. Over here, when you have an investment account right on alongside with your term policy, guess what? You're going to get 7% or more. So when you understand the math, I promise you, you're never going to get a whole life policy.
Man.
actually,
And then here's the other thing, too, not to cut you off, Tiny. Hold
Wait,
on.
I want to hear what Tiny guys.
Here's,
Go ahead, go ahead.
here's the other thing, too. We love to borrow. We love to borrow. And so, because we love to borrow, they play on our psychology because we don't know what we don't know. Because that was me, I'm telling you. That was me. I said, oh, I get to borrow. I get to be a part of the stock market,
I was going to ask about that.
right? So I get to borrow. I get to be a part of the stock market, and I get coverage. What? A trifecta? You can't beat that. So I don't mind paying the $299. But what I didn't understand was I didn't have enough coverage. I didn't have enough coverage. You have to have enough coverage to take care of all of your things. A quad mill wasn't going to do it for me.
And then for not just cover what you have now or possibly later, but go
Thank
on.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You see? Yep. Exactly. All right, Tiny, go. Sorry.
Tiny.
so for
Tiny,
me,
what's the best?
so for me,
Yeah.
the reason why I said a whole life policy is because you have to keep in mind everybody's living situation is different. Everybody's health situation is different. And for me, speaking from a health aspect of things, me being a breast cancer survivor, right? My whole life policy came in abundance for my family because it allowed for me, because I had that policy for more than 10 years, it allowed for me to tap into my policy with no penalties, no losing no money that was invested within that policy, and it allowed for me to pay my bills, take care of my family, do everything that I needed to do, pay deductibles, the whole 9 yard of medical issues. And as of right now, God forbid if you decide to take me today, my children still have $1 million policy to split between the five of them, and
See,
they will get the full benefit of it.
see, she you sound like she got hers when she was younger.
I did when I was
See?
18 when I joined the
You see?
military.
And
18?
you
That's
see?
right.
Yes.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
listen, so the fact that you were open to a mill at 18 is like abnormal, I promise you, right? Because just having a conversation with a person, say, listen, you should put $1 million in place. I know you don't have a family yet, They're like, what do we need all that money for? I'm like, is there such thing as too much money?
But for
Is there
me,
such a thing? Is there such a thing as too much money? There's no such a thing as too much money. Mindset. We have to shift our mindset. We are worth it. Your family is worth it. And like you just said, um, what's gonna happen in the future, right? Like this might be where you at now, but you don't know what assets you're gonna get in the future. Not saying that you can't get more, right? But we understand that life changes in a second. And so what if you can't get covered again? What if you can't get covered again? And so like you, and Tiny, you're absolutely correct. Sometimes a whole life policy, may be suitable for people who have, you know, multiple illnesses or things like that going on. Yeah, they gonna cover you. You're not gonna get a whole lot. Luckily for you, you did, but most people not gonna get a whole lot. Yes, you can withdraw your contribution. What was that question about the contributing from the IRA?
Yes, you can withdraw contributions to a Roth IRA without penalty or tax at any age. Is that
that's
true?
not what uh, I mean,
So yes, for if you're for a home, if you're a first time home buyer, you can get some money out of that. But the thing I tell people about that is um a lot of people don't want to do it because there's a penalty. Guess what? It is for retirement. You can't call Social Security and say, "Hey, listen, can I get some of my money from my future self, and I promise I'm gonna pay it back." Like, no. So you have to think about it long term, right? This is a long term account. So yes, if you access it before 59 and a half, there is a penalty to pay. This is why it's important for you to build an emergency account. That's what you need to be tapping into for emergencies.
True.
All right. So there's three accounts that everybody should have. There's your emergency fund, then there's a short-term fund, and then there's a long-term fund. Right? The long-term is your retirement account. Okay. The short-term, if you buying a car, you're going on a big trip to Africa, Dubai, or wherever, right? Right, those are things that you plan for anything that's going to happen within 3 to 5 years, and then your emergency. Let's start working towards that. Your 401k, those retirement accounts are not your emergency fund. So we need to start changing our mindset around that. Stop calling GRS, asking them for money for stupidness. Don't laugh. You laugh. I know it's true,
stop
right?
doing the
People
emergency
calling GRS for
withdrawals.
$2,000. You
Yes,
pay 10% on
on
$2,000.
2000.
Come
Correct.
on,
That's
man.
correct.
Go get a second job to Plaza or something and put some money aside. Like, come on. Let's make it make sense.
And that's even with PRS is like for us who work in corporate America. Like you literally, for example, we have to sit down, you go through Fidelity. Fidelity charging you taxes, fees, and penalties because you shouldn't be withdrawing anything without that account, period. So
Exactly.
now Uncle Sam, when tax year come and you get that form coming in saying, well, dang, I gotta pay these penalties and this dollar amount. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
You shouldn't be doing
exactly.
that.
Exactly. So again, education, because people don't know, right? People
Yeah.
think that I have this 401k and and I have access to it, and anytime, and you do. There's just a cost that goes along with it, but you also have to understand the reason for it. It is for retirement. So if you access it before 59 and a half, then yeah, you're gonna get taxed, and especially if it's a if it's a traditional, right? Yeah, the Uncle Sam needs his fair share. He don't play.
And Drina got some comments. I want to read those. You can definitely over insure as well. Term life and
Absolutely
whole life serve different purposes. Most important thing is planning and having enough to maintain your responsibilities and the commitments you made during life. Having
correct.
enough to replace at least 3 to 5 years of your income for your dependents and the appropriate funding for business continuation plans to be executed.
Correct.
Planning
Correct.
to have annuity like benefits continue to pay for individuals who depend on me is another way to
Oh, absolutely.
what alive financial
Mm-hmm.
relieve financial
financial
burdens as
burdens
well.
as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, she's right. So some people can be overinsured, right? But then again, depending on who you ask, like I say, is there such a thing as too much money?
Hmm.
Right. And but that's just me, that's her opinion. But in all honesty, I just feel like, I prefer somebody to be overinsured than underinsured. Okay.
Yep.
The other thing also too is you really should have at least 8 to 10 times your income
Oof.
set aside. And honestly, the younger your kids are, you whatever that number is. If you have a 5-year old, then you need 15 years, right?
Yep.
5 to 18. I'm just saying, right? And then if they're going off to college, right? So it, every family is different, every budget is different, but that's the baseline, 8 to 10 years set aside for your family, right? And then making sure that all the things that you take care of can be taken care of too when that policy pays out, paying off the mortgage, paying off the debt, definitely taking care of the funeral, right? Debt to GoFundMe's, right? And y'all know the GoFundMe charge people for their platform. Do people
They
know
do.
that?
It charges a percentage of the amount that you're withdrawing, and depending on how you set it up, if it's going to the person or if it's going to you to send to the person, there are fees that's associated.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people don't even realize that a lot of times that those GoFundMe, you can be taxed on that because that is considered an income.
Beg your pardon? I
Hello.
beg your pardon?
That's
Hello.
correct. That is an
That's right.
income. That is correct.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And guess what? When that life insurance policy pays out, guess what? That's tax free.
Mm-hmm.
Tax free dollars. Tax free
One
dollars.
one last thing I did want to touch on. I'm kind of glad that the radio thing didn't work because I could do what I want and I could go over time and stuff. It sucks, but like I like freedom, right? So we could
I did
go
too.
over and I'm not stepping on nobody's toes. But the last thing I did want to touch on is real estate. What if somebody because real estate is a generational wealth builder. People don't talk enough about that. Especially, well, people in our community don't talk enough about that because we're losing land, we're losing businesses, all that stuff in the Virgin Islands, especially like, the younger generation don't want to operate the business or they don't want to take over this land because it take too much work. Or there's nothing on the land, but they don't see the value in it because nothing's on there. So, as far if somebody was to come to you, the financial guru, somebody come to you and they're like, look, listen, I got $45,000, right? I want to invest in some real estate, maybe build something up over time, or I want to invest my money in real estate, something I could see, something I could rent out and get money from now. What would you say to them?
I would look for property that already has a structure on it. Look for a property that already has a structure on it, because it's a easier way to get to the end goal, as opposed to just buying the land and then build and then going from scratch.
Yeah, it's an automatic property value.
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, what if the property is like dilapidated or something? You still would say the same thing, like work on that day as opposed to
It
building
depends on
something
how
else.
much dilapidated, right? So you have to weigh you have to weigh your options here, right? And look at, the cost versus, the profit that's about to take place, right? How much do I have to actually spend to get it into a working, rentable situation
Mhm.
versus, or maybe I should just go ahead and just start from scratch and build and have something that's going to be new that I can put out into the community to start generating wealth. So you really have to just do, your pros and cons to see what's going to work best for your financial goals.
What if you know a guy at Home Depot and you want to
um,
do some DIY?
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you still got to spend money, right? So you got to pay he, right? You got to pay he to fix said property to get it to a rentable state. So how much money are you willing to invest, right? How much money does a property going to need to be rehabbed to get it into to get to a working state.
Facts. And people keep in mind, real estate is a long-term investment. For some is short sale, but
Mm,
real estate is not a for sure thing. It's a physical property, and it can turn out to be a money pit. You can
mhm,
end up losing money on deals, or you find out something is damaged in the property that gonna cost you way more than you projected.
mm, mhm. Yep,
So yeah.
absolutely,
All right, man.
absolutely.
This has been dope. You've shed so much light on a lot of different topics. We appreciate you coming through. I think I feel like there's more we could talk about,
Oh,
but
we could talk and talk and talk for sure, right?
I want you to come on the podcast. I want you to come on the podcast
Okay, for
because
sure.
I could do whatever I could cost. I could I don't have no restrictions, and then we could go as long as we need to. But this has been great. Um, First, let me ask you: would you bail
Mm.
this young man out?
Would I bail him out? What he do? What
That's
he
not
do?
important.
It depends on what he do.
Possession.
Possession of
20, a
firearm.
firearm and 20 grams. That ain't big.
Oh, that ain't big at all.
That ain't big. Would you bail
Yeah,
him out? Because he got the girl he's going nuts. So would you bail him out?
yeah, bail him out. I'm okay with possession. Like who don't have a I mean, what? Like they're bigger fish to fry. I feel like we have bigger fish to fry. That's not one. That's not one. Mm-mm. That's
That's
not one.
what's up. Hey, but I'm gonna be out soon because the way the woman are going on, he ain't gonna be in jail long.
What's their reason though? What's
What's
their
the
reason?
reason?
What
Work.
they bailing him up because he cute?
Yes.
No,
That's the local jail bay right now. Like
nah,
women going crazy over this guy.
nah. I don't care. I don't care how cute. What you do? Well, you could be that cute, but guess what? You done um beat up somebody child. Like
True.
what? No, then no. You gotta stay in. Yeah, but possession, it's minor.
That's like that. That ain't nothing.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for coming on. We gonna you family now, so we're gonna have to set up
Hey,
a time for you to come on the pod so we can continue the conversation. And
for sure.
when we have more wealth building and financial literacy things, and you can also promote the business, then so that would be dope. We're gonna set that up.
Oh, for
Can
sure.
you tell the people how to reach out to you if they still have questions, concerns, or they want to book you?
Absolutely. On where am I? On Facebook, I'm Helena Griffith. I'm Helena Griffith. Listen, I love to text and talk, so always feel free to reach me 240-273-1306. On Instagram, I am the financial nurse educator, financial underscore nurse underscore educator. Um, and if you go to my Facebook page, I have a link in my bio. You can click it. You can set an appointment with me. And again, my phone number is there. And you can see a little bit about my business and what I do and how I help families.
That's what's up. If you can, after you get off of here, can you please go ahead and like interject them in the chat on the page? Can you just put your socials and how to contact you in the chat?
You got it.
All right. Thank you so much,
You're
Helena.
so welcome. Thanks for having me. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. I appreciate being able to educate your audience.
for
I
sure, for
appreciate
sure.
it.
And we're gonna have clips. I'm gonna take some clips and post them as you've seen them. You
Yeah.
please share them to your audience as well, so everybody
Mm-hmm.
else could get the information. All right.
All right. Are you gonna send it to me too so that I can
Yeah,
click
I can
on?
do it. That's no
Okay,
problem.
cool. I
All
appreciate
right.
that. Thank you so much.
Peace. Have a good rest of your
All right.
Sunday.
Have a good rest of your day. All right. Bye
Bye. Tiny, you still with us?
bye.
Tiny, you still with us? Oh my God. Girl. Tiny, are you there? All right. Well, this has been another live broadcast of a different day with Jah and Neci. Obviously, Tiny came through to fill in the blank of, of Neci because he wasn't here. But I want to thank everybody that came through, everybody that was in the chat, Adrena, Gentleman Staff, Kat, who else? Who else was up in here? Crystal Thompson, we appreciate you coming through. Please share the live. We will be back next Sunday because we've been having consistent issues with the radio app. I don't think we'll be streaming on the radio. We're going to just do the live streams from now on. But I got to work that out with Lima because it is a radio station and we do want it on the radio, but we're going to figure that out. But thanks again. Go ahead, share the live. This is how you can contact us. Follow us on Instagram at Same Difference 2022 or on TikTok at Same_Difference_pod, YouTube at VI_very_own. And you can let us know if you'd like to donate to the show via PayPal. We're also on Fanbase. It's just Same Difference on Fanbase. All right, y'all have a good rest of your Sunday. It's been a pleasure. I'm so glad that she could come through and get some education on financial literacy because especially our community, we need it. We've been suffering due to it for generations. So it's time that we pick up the slack and really take ourselves to another level because like she said, the other communities, they're not doing bad like that. They're actually we're at the bottom if we're honest, and they're doing way better than us and succeeding. And we just need, the blueprint is there. We just need to profit off of it as well and stop being the consumers that we are. All right. So we'll see you next Sunday. If you're in the Virgin Islands, it's from 4 to 6 p.m. If you're Eastern United States, it's 3 to 5 p.m. until we get back to the regular time. All right. Have a good rest of your day. It's been Same Difference on a different day on 101.3 Raw FM. Love you. Peace.